Hi there, and thanks for joining me for part two of phase one of these series of exercises that we're doing in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce as part of their Together for Business program. And we're sticking with, for this part, as with all of phase one, the upper body. So we're looking at the sort of upper chest, shoulders, and upper back, with a view of trying to improve the posture in this area, improve strength in the upper back, open up the chest a little bit more, and try and fix any problems that might have come around from working constantly at a computer in a sort of rounded forward position, driving a lot, or just using your phone or a tablet or something in that sort of rounded, internally rotated position. We're going to try and open up the chest, open up some movement in the shoulders, and strengthen the upper back in order to improve that posture, decrease the chance of pain longer term, or take some away if you've already got some, and also decrease the chance of, therefore, any of that pain or limitations transferring through the body and causing issues elsewhere. So in part one of this phase, we gave 4 exercises, and those exercises were 2 mobility exercises and 2 strengthening exercises, one of each involving no gym equipment whatsoever, and one of each involving a small piece of gym equipment. And that's going to be exactly the same for this phase. In this one, we are looking at, for the mobility section, a kneeling shoulder flexion stretch. Now, this is the no equipment one, but we do need something here. You need something to be able to lean on. What I've used in the videos is a couple of dining room chairs. You don't necessarily have to use those if you don't have them. You could use a couple of stools, as long as they were soft enough to be able to press your forearm against. And if not, then you could stick a couple of pillows on top. You could use your couch, as long as it's not too soft. It has to be able to push back towards you, or the arm of the couch if you can get to the side of it. But there will be something. There'll be something in your house, unless your house is just a sort of hippie commune and you've got nothing but beanbags everywhere. Then there should be something in your house that you can press against to be able to do this exercise without any problem. The second exercise in the mobility sector is a trap release. Now, this one is the one that you need a piece of equipment for. What I'm using in this is a lacrosse ball, and that's absolutely ideal. They're commonly used in gyms and for rehab, but you can get away with a baseball. I found that's incredibly useful for this. Tennis balls I've seen people use. It's not as good, not by a long shot, particularly for this exercise. A very, very tight area to try and get into, and there's quite a lot of give in a tennis ball. So if that's all you've got, then by all means go for it, but I would try to use something that's a little bit more, a little bit firmer, but not so firm that you're looking at like a golf ball, because they're rock solid and it would be incredibly painful. Plus it might damage the wall that you're going to be using it against. I show in the video a little ball that my 5-year-old child has as a toy, and it's actually brilliant. So yeah, something like that. But have a look. You don't necessarily need this one, but it's incredibly beneficial if you can use it, especially if you've any pain or tension up the back of your neck. This one's gold dust. If that's a problem that you suffer from, or headaches up the back of the neck that seem to stem at the back of the head, then this one is incredibly useful. For the strengthening exercises, the no equipment version is a subscapular retraction in a prone position, which is lying face down. You don't need any equipment, and compared to what we used in the last series of exercises, we're used an IYT at this point. An IYT is much more complex than a subscapular retraction. But what the subscapular retraction is doing is working the area, working a more focused area, and your scapula, by the way, is your collarbone. So to be able to retract that and engage the muscles around there is incredibly important to all movements. Everyone I've seen in the gym over the years, usually when they first go to do a pulling motion, they do not engage the scapula. They pull with their arms. And that's not the way that you should be going about any pulling motion whatsoever. If you're trying to learn to do a pull-up, if you're trying to do a bent over row, if you're trying to do a horizontal row, engaging the scapula is the prime thing that you should be trying to do in order to facilitate the movement. And if you're not doing that, then it's probably because your mind muscle connection to that area is poor, and that's only going to lead to bad posture. So if you want to be able to do any further training or any big lifts, and when I say big lifts, I just mean reasonably heavy, and do them effectively, then you need to start learning to engage that scapula area. So this movement is building your mind-muscle connection, building strength around that area to a point where you can then advance it further down the line. But if you can't do this, or you find this difficult, I would encourage you to really spend a lot of time on it until you get that connection and are able to do it well. It's incredibly important. It might look very, very simple, but it's undeniably valuable. So give it a shot and see how you get on. You might find it too easy, and if you do, that's fine. There's going to be more exercises going further down the line, but for the moment, I would suggest giving this a go. And even if it looks easy, try it before you make your mind up. And the last exercise this time round is going to be band pull-aparts, although we're going to do these from two angles. So this does use a resistance band. We're looking for a long resistance band, not the hip band style. It doesn't have to be a loop. It could be a straight one, some of the ones that you get with the handles attached to the end. You don't need the handles attached to the end, you just need the band. If it's very, very light, you might need a couple of them. If it's incredibly heavy, it might be difficult, but you just have to try and figure out whether you can do the exercise with what you've got. And this is incredibly valuable, again, in order to strengthen the muscles that you use as stabilizers when you're doing things like press-ups, bench press, overhead press, that kind of thing. Any pushing motion, these are your stabilizers, and this is where you should be stabilizing from. Again, what most people end up doing is locking out their arms and trying to use their skeletal structure in order to stabilize when they push, and that's not what you should be doing. But what there is doing by doing the volume we're talking about here, which is basically trying to do it to failure, then you're going to start using these muscles to a point where they're going to start developing strength as well as mind-muscle connection. And therefore, that's going to strengthen up your upper back muscles that are going to hold your shoulders back in place and give you that better posture. So that's what we're doing this time around. There's another 4 exercises for you. As I've said before, the idea of this is not to try and take all 4 of them and see if you can do them all. And it's not to try and say that everything is for everyone. The reason I'm breaking them down into these individual exercises is so that you can spend a little bit of time as soon as you get them, give them a try and find out where your limitations and your weaknesses are. If you're finding you've got limitations in the mobility of any of the mobility exercises, then try and work on those more and try and keep them in on a daily basis for the moment. If the strengthening ones seem too easy, then maybe they aren't for you, and maybe you don't need to strengthen in that area. Find the ones that work for you. Now remember, each of these is going to take about 40 seconds, maybe a minute. If you've got to do both sides independently of the other, maybe just slightly more than a minute. But that's really all it is. So you can do it at any time. So as soon as you see the video, I would encourage you, give it a shot, try it, spend that 1 minute on it, trying it out, and then try and, if you feel that it's going to be beneficial to you, try and do it every single day. And then obviously as we start to add and add and add, it'll go from 1 minute to 2 minutes to 3 minutes. But the habit of doing something is more important than what you're doing. So what you're looking to do is just build in that habit of doing one little thing every single day, with the idea that you can build on it and build on it and build on it until it becomes as habitual as brushing your teeth, which, given that we're in lockdown, maybe some people have let slide a little bit. Not sure. Hopefully not. But yeah, it should be something that just becomes part of your natural routine, and then it's going to be much easier to build in a more full and complete training program on top of that. But if you're the type of person that it's an all or nothing, and you tend to take your programs and then you start with a vengeance, and then after 4 or 5 weeks, suddenly you've missed a couple, and then you've missed a lot, and then it becomes habit to not do them. This is a way of doing it that you can start to build it up into something that you will actually do and you'll stick with, because it's only a minute. And who can't find a minute? You've been listening to me for 10. So go and have a look at the new videos. If you've missed the first 4, go and have a look at those and find the ones that work for you. Just give them all a try. 1 minute at a time, give them a try, find the ones that work for you, keep the ones that work, ditch the ones that don't, and over time we're going to build up something that's going to give you much greater mobility, health, and strength. So until next time, stay strong, stay safe, and have a great day. Bye for now.